Matt, how do you think working practices will change at the MCA as a consequence of COVID-19?
Interesting question, Heather. I think they'll become a lot more focused on outputs, and they'll be focused on what people do rather than necessarily how they do it or where they do it. At the moment, we're a civil service organisation, and we focus very much on process and doing things the right way. I think with the change in the locations, the change in the communication methodology, the physical change in how we do things, because you haven't got a bit of paper in front of you to sign, means that we'll focus a lot more on outputs and outcomes as an organisation, rather than necessarily the process of how we get to the end result that we want. I think that will mean a lot more clarification in the communication between staff and line managers, because you have to be a lot clearer in your verbal communication, telling people what they want, because it's going to be new. It's not going to be, I need that form filling out, I need that bit of paper, I need that process. It will be more of a description of something, or some output, or some difference, the change that you're making, the impact that you're making, rather than I need a form filling out. So I think it will be focused a lot more on actual deliverables and actual things.
So does this mean the end of process? Surely that'll be the end of the civil service.
We should be so lucky, Heather. No, process won't change. We're still spending government money. We're still spending taxpayers' money. We've still got to do things correctly. But I think it will mean getting rid of superfluous process. It will mean of cutting it down. We still need governance. Everybody still needs governance, I'm afraid to say. You know, we use it at home with keeping a receipt from the shop, or doing your bank statements once a month. So we still need that. It just means not doing it for the sake of doing it.
Now, I don't know about you, Matt, but I've noticed that working from home does tend to almost equate with, in inverted commas, always being available.
Yes.
And that's potentially quite dangerous for people's well-being and mental health.
Mm-hmm.
How do we stop that becoming almost a culture in the MCA?
It's difficult. A lot of it needs to be driven by senior leaders and senior managers who it's easier for them, maybe, with the physical locations at home. I'm lucky. I have a separate room, so when I switch off for the day, I move out, I shut the door, and I move on. It's difficult if you're at home, and your work will bleed a lot more into your day life, your home life, shall we say. I think senior managers need to stop sending out emails or text messages or phoning people up beyond 5 o'clock, unless it's to another senior leader or someone that they know. It's very easy for a senior leader to say, just because I send it doesn't mean you have to respond to it, but life's not like that, as we know. As soon as you get something, you feel that you need to respond, you need to do it quickly. So it's new habits about how we do that. It's positive reinforcement from the leaders that we do not expect you to do that. Obviously, there's some physical bits and pieces that we can work with individuals on, workplace assessments, risk-based assessments at home, and how they do it based on individual circumstances. But I think a lot of it is, again, it's communication, it's speaking to people, and it's setting realistic expectations, and then walking the walk rather than just talking the talk from the senior leaders and the line management chain.